Hello everybody, welcome to Baston Church of England Primary School. My name is Rebecca Mills and I'm the head teacher, and just 2 metres away from me is Mrs Porteous, who will be your child's class teacher, hopefully very soon when the time comes.
Hello everybody.
We just thought it might be a good idea for us to share with you the slides from an information evening that we ran this time last year. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you get a chance to have a look at these slides, so that you can have a little tour, if you like, of our school, and we can share with you the key messages that we would have loved to have shared with you if you were able to come for an evening to school. So as you can see, here's a picture of the front of our building. We're really looking forward to being able to see you. We don't know whether or not that will be September at this time. We very much hope that it will. The entrance into school for you is just to the right in this corner here, where there is a green gate, and we will be there ready to see you on your very first day. I'm going to just hand over to Mrs Porteous now, who's going to talk through the slides as they come along and give you a little bit of extra information. Please do pay attention to the fact that the dates within this slideshow relate to 2019. So any talk about transition days or start dates, they are old dates from 2019. As soon as we know more about what we can do for our children joining us in 2020, we will let you know. So I'll hand over to Mrs Porteous and I'll chip in as we go along.
Hello again. Just to tell you about the early years foundation stage curriculum. We have a very different curriculum to everybody else in the school. We follow obviously the early years foundation stage, and there are 3 characteristics of effective learning, which means we encourage your children to play and explore, so they have a go at things and investigate things for themselves. Active learning, which is where they keep on trying even when they have difficulties, so finding out for themselves all sorts of different things. Creative and critical thinking, which is developing their own ideas, so working things out for themselves. How are we going to do things? How are we going to sort things out? There are also 7 areas of learning and development. So the prime areas are personal, social and emotional development, which is all about getting on and socialising and all those sorts of things. Physical development, which is your PE and also your pencil skills, so writing, things like that. And communication and language, so talking to each other and learning to communicate and sort things out. The specific areas of learning are literacy, which is reading and writing, mathematics, which is numbers and all sorts of shapes, space and measure and all those sorts of measurements, and understanding the world, which is science, and expressive arts and design, which is music and art, sort of painting, things like that. So personal, social, emotional development, so making friends, self-confidence and self-awareness, managing feelings and behaviour. So to do that, we set up all sorts of different activities which help with that and facilitate that. So obviously sharing things, so like as you can see on the picture, riding a bike together, playing together, talking about things and negotiating things, and generally working out things together. Very, very important in reception. Physical development, so fine and gross motor skills, so you learn those in PE, as well as writing on the board, Play-Doh, doing fine things like, as you can see in the bottom corner, working with pegs. It's actually quite hard when you're in reception to do things like that. So we set up lots of things to help with that. And health and self-care, which is going to the toilet, knowing that when you're hot you take your jumper off and all those sorts of things. Communication and language is all about listening and attention, so there's lots of listening, lots of thinking of ideas for yourself. Understanding is, of course, knowing what we're talking about and responding appropriately, and then speaking, so developing your language and with things like role play and talking to each other and answering questions. All those sorts of things are developing communication and language. Literacy is obviously about reading and writing, and we do reading and writing every single day with Read Write Ink, and learn how to get it down on paper, obviously, which is the writing side. We do reading and writing simultaneously. So in Read Write Ink, we do reading and writing all together every single day. maths. So that's numbers, including calculations, so adding and taking away and all those things, as well as obviously learning our numbers to 20. And shape, space and measure, which is things like weighing and measuring lengths and all those sorts of things that we enjoy doing together. Understanding the world. So it's split into 3 sections. So people and communities is learning about the world and people in different countries. The world itself is about forest school and going out to investigate the environment. So sort of science, biology sort of things. And technology is all obviously about IT and computers, which we also have in the classroom. Expressive arts and design, so using different media to make different, have different projects going on. So we've obviously got painting, we've got making things, we've got music, we've got dancing, all those sorts of expressive art things. And it's not something I tell them how to do, I guide them in different ways, but obviously they use their creative side to fulfill that area. So phonics and reading. Children will learn to read and write through Read Write Ink scheme. So every single day we do Read Write Ink in the morning when they're at their best. They learn their sounds alongside their writing and reading every single day. And they actually really enjoy it because they get into a real habit of what we're doing and when we're doing it. So they really enjoy that. We also do guided reading at school and share books together and talk about them together. Forest school, now that happens every week, come rain or shine. The only time we don't go out to forest school is when it's really, really windy. So apart from that, we go out every single week and have a lovely, lovely time. So they learn all the sorts of forest skills and what to see in the forest. And as the seasons change, they see different things in the forest. It's a really, really fun time for them. Very exciting. We look forward to that every single week. So assessment-wise, we do something called Tapestry, and that's an online learning journal. So the children will be assessed. Sounds awful. It sounds like a really scary thing, but it's not. So they're assessed every day, and basically I take photos every single day, which goes towards their learning journal. And at the end of the year, they bring home the learning journal. It has all sorts of activities that they've been doing in the day. The great thing is that if they do any amazing things at home, you can also add to the learning journal and put your comments on it, and that can go towards their assessment too. It's an online journal and it's absolutely secure. Nobody else can see it, just me. And it's a two-way assessment.
Now, normally we would have had a home visit, wouldn't we, Mrs. Porteous?
We would, yes.
So you'd have been able to go along. Mrs. Porteous would have come to visit you for a 15-minute visit at home, where we found it's been really useful and lovely for the children to meet Mrs. Porteous one-on-one, and for you to just have a little chat, really. It's been really nice for the children to meet her in their own home environment, where quite often they're a bit less shy. Sometimes not, but quite often they are less shy, and it's just that little bit of one-on-one connection time. So if you were dreading that, lucky you've got away with it for this year, and if you're looking forward to it, we're really sorry that we can't make those this year. If you have anything that you want to feedback in advance of your child starting school, then there will be an email address provided at the end of this presentation where you can send any questions or queries in. So home visits, as far as we're aware, are not happening for this year group. Taster sessions too, you can see on the slides, these are dates from last year, from 2019, so please don't turn up. So the taster sessions, we tend to split them into 2 groups, so that half the class come in the morning, the other half come in the afternoon, and they have a little bit of a crossover during the lunchtime. And again, that's something that we've found has been really useful for the children to get their bearings in the building and to spend a little bit of time together before their actual start in the new term. We don't know what that will look like in the new term. To be honest, children are so good at just adapting to new surroundings that we aren't too worried about them making a start in September. They will all come along and we'll catch them up without a problem.
So the morning routine for the first 2 weeks, they'll be coming through the green gates, and we'll get settled in. And for the first fortnight, the children will go home at 2 o'clock, because they're obviously very tired by the end of each week, and it's just that little bit of extra catching up time. So please bring them to the gate between 8:30 and 8:50 and leave them with one of us, either my TA or me. And what we do is we set activities up in the classroom, so they just sort of come in, and if anybody needs a little bit of a helping hand, it gives us that bit of time to do so. And it means that when they see each other, they just go off and play and choose something to do, and off they go. It just makes them feel a bit more comfortable.
So choosing between the 8:50, 8:30 and that slot to bring them, that's open for our whole school. The reason that we do that is because, one, it eases congestion around the village. There are no cars allowed on site, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a minute. So it gives time for that staggered arrival, and children then have a choice. If at 8:30 they want to come straight in, they can't. We ask for them to stay and play outside, even on those days that it's drizzly. So if you know that your child really does not like the rain, then we would suggest that you arrive at 8:40 onwards. We ring one bell at 8:40, and children are allowed to make the choice whether they come in or have 10 more minutes to play outside. And then we ring our final bell at 10 to 9. Close of registers is 9:30, but we do ask that all children are in school at 8:50, and our registers are generally completed by 9 o'clock.
So once they come inside the building, they might have a packed lunch box, and they will have their book bags and maybe a coat. So we get them used to sort of putting their packed lunch on the trolley and putting their coat on their peg, which is named, and generally getting themselves ready at their own speed, really. They'll put their drink on the side and things, and then they'll walk into the classroom, and usually all their friends sort of know they're here, and they all get together. So it's really, really nice. It's very sort of relaxed in that sense, makes them feel much more comfortable. If there's any urgent matters that pop up and you think, oh, I really could do with speaking to the teacher just to say what's happened, if something's happened in the night, or if you think there's something we need to know, just let me know before the start of the day, because that can make a real difference to how their day goes, and it means we can just keep an extra eye on them. So uniform is all on that big list there, as you can see. Obviously, we wear a uniform every day. We also do PE, and if they bring that in their PE bag and that goes on their peg, it's all there in the list for you to see.
You can order uniform from Shop Bowl. We have put a link to that in the first letter that we've sent out to you recently. Shop Bowl are doing a click and collect and an order online service. If you need any further information about that, just give the school a call and we can put you in touch with Shop Bowl. Same for PE kit. All of our orders go through there. You do not have to spend a fortune on logoed brands. We are happy for you to be sending your child in with the closest match from any other retailers to keep things cost effective.
So the register, as you know, is taken in the morning and the afternoon. If you know in advance that your child is going to be absent for any reason, then just come to the school office and you can fill out a form. If they're away on the day, if you could contact school just to say why they aren't at school, it just helps us out. Oh, also emergency phone numbers. If you just to make sure that you have an emergency contact number at the office, so that if anything ever goes wrong, we can contact you easily and quickly.
Also, to put in here about attendance count is really important. The expected level of attendance for all children is 95%, and it's really staggering how quickly that percentage falls. So each session is counted. The morning session and the afternoon is counted as 2 sessions per day. So if you don't arrive at school with your child in the morning, then we do put a call in to ask where you are. We know that children get poorly. We know that sometimes they have to attend certain medical appointments. We don't support basic dental checkups, but of course we do support those more specific appointments that sometimes have to be made during school time. I'm not able to authorise any holiday. but you can put in an absence request form if it is deemed to be an exceptional circumstance, and then we have conversations about any absences that are not linked to illness. But through government direction, I'm not allowed to authorise holiday.
So collective worships are really nice. The whole school meets together in the hall every single morning, and it's led by either one of the teaching staff or a guest speaker who comes in. Every Friday, we look forward to Fridays because there is a celebration collective worship which is called Star of the Week, and certain children will be chosen to receive a certificate, and the person who gets the Star of the Week will also go to a tea party with Mrs. Mills. So it's really something to look forward to.
It really is something to look forward to.
Yeah.
We really do enjoy our weekly tea parties with the stars. It's a very lovely time.
So playtime, obviously all the children are supervised outside by a member of staff. Any sort of minor injuries are dealt with at the first aid station in school. On a Friday, there's a tuck shop, which is run by the PTA, and that's a very exciting time as well, because if they have a 20p, they take their 20p and buy a very healthy snack from the tuck shop, which they absolutely love doing. So it's very exciting on Friday. We also have fruit available in school every day, so even if they don't have tuck shop money, they can always get a piece of fruit. We again find fruit and food very important, so we have that at break time every day. Lunchtime is either hot meals for the whole of Key Stage 1, it's free, but if you'd like to bring your own packed lunch, that's also fine. You can select from the menu 2 weeks in advance. They're eaten in the hall, and the packed lunches sit with the hot dinners people, and you can mix and match. So you can have hot dinners one day and packed lunch another day if you want to. When it's raining, the children come back into their classroom, so they come back to a familiar classroom and have a play in there instead. So home time for the first 2 full weeks is 2 o'clock. After this, we finish the day at 3:15. So if you could come into the playground via the same green side gate that you drop off, what happens is when the person at the front of the queue, when I spot their parents, their child obviously goes to the right person. So unless I can see you, they don't go anywhere, just in case. Trim trails, much as we like using them in the daytime, they're not allowed to be used after school for obvious health and safety reasons. If somebody else is collecting your child, please can you make sure I know about it? Otherwise, I can't let them go, I'm afraid, because it's really important, obviously, they go home with the right person. If for any reason you're late, don't worry about it. We'll obviously keep hold of your child until you get there. But just if you could make contact and say, I'm just going to be a few minutes late, just so that we can tell your child. And if they're attending Activate, which is the after school club, they will be taken by a member of staff beforehand. So they're already in the hall before we come out to home time. So just so that they don't think they're going home and be sort of disappointed with that. Although a lot of them do like Activate and wish they were going there instead, don't they, Mrs. Mills?
It's true. And actually Activate operates in the morning as well in ordinary times. I don't know what this will look like in September. At the moment it's not running, but in September we're hoping that we will be able to have before and after school club care going. If you want to find out more about that, the email address at the end of this slideshow would be how you go about finding out a bit more. That wraparound care does belong to school, and it is run by members of school staff.
So the important bits and bobs, which I usually baffle people with. It said, the first one says, please name your child's belongings with their own name. Now, obviously, if you're getting hand-me-down clothes, it's absolutely fine, no problem with that. But please, can you take the old name out of the item of clothing, because it's very confusing, especially for us, and for your child, obviously, who's trying to look for their name on their jumpers. They're all the same. So it's really important you put their name on instead of the person who used to own it. Otherwise, it might not get back to you. Anything that's named will always get back to you because things turn up weeks later. But if they don't have their own name on, we have no idea who it belongs to. So that's what that one was about. Please, can you teach them also to use the toilet independently? Obviously, we can't be going to the toilet with them every time, which means they have to be really independent at going to the toilet on their own, flushing the obviously going to the toilet and wiping their bottoms and also washing their hands, things like that. If you could encourage them to be responsible, so hanging up their coats, things like that, they're going to have to do on their own, knowing which is their packed lunch box, if they brought a packed lunch, that sort of thing, knowing which is their coat. Sounds like really small things, but when you've got lots of children in the class who are all busy doing the same thing, it's very difficult to know whose things are whose if they don't know themselves. And again, encouraging them to dress themselves independently. We obviously have PE all at the same time. Everybody's got the same uniform on and got the same bags. So getting themselves ready for PE just makes them feel less stressful as well if they can do it by themselves. I always suggest a keyring on their book bags as well, because again, the book bags are all the same, but if they've got their own keyring, it just means they can identify their bag really quickly without even having to look for their own name. PE kits and hats, coats, wellies, etc. We need in school at all times, and the reason we do that, because we go out in the rain, we go out in the sunshine, we go out at all times. So if you could just keep them in school, even if you think, well, I don't think it's going to rain today, it will just stay on their peg, which is absolutely fine, but it's always there in case we need it. Also, having a routine for dropping off your child, it just makes it easier for you and for them. So they know that when you've said that last goodbye and you've done that kiss, it's time to go. And it just makes it less stressful and daunting for them.
Parking arrangements next then. So we always just add this little bit in because we're in a bit of a funny spot in Baston, really, in that we're right on the end of the main road at one end of the village, and we often find that leads to congestion with so many parents arriving at the same time. So we've got an agreement with the Black Horse Hotel and Restaurant next door to say that all parents are allowed to park in their car park at the back and at the front for those pick up and drop off times. We ask that you don't drive onto the school site simply for safety. If we were to have all of our cars on site, it would fill us with fear. So we ask that you park either at the Black Horse or another spot safely and with courtesy for our neighbours somewhere along the main street in the village, and then walk your child the rest of the way up to the Green Gate. We, as Mrs. Portier said, we don't let them go without you in the afternoons, and you'll come into the playground to wait for them and give a big wave to Mrs. Portier's when you see your child come to the front of their queue. I do, just to reiterate, I do really feel that it is a really good thing if your child comes skipping into school without you sooner than the end of that first 2 weeks. And many parents, you will feel the urge to come in and stay with them because we allow you to do that, to settle them in those first few days. To be honest with you, great success is always had. It does if you're with them for the whole of the first 2 weeks and they're getting upset. That's okay. We will get success in the end. And if they skip in on the first day and let you go, hard as that is for you, perhaps that is success too. So if you can get into that routine, leave them at the gate, quick kiss, off you go. That is going to set them up for the rest of their time at school. So we will give as much support as you need, but ultimately that's our goal. To quickly mention medical problems while I'm here, it's really important on your new starter student form that you have told us any medical issues that you are aware of. If anything new pops along, it's really important that we get that information as soon as possible, and you can do that via the front office, and then the front office will pass that on to class teachers.
So the last one is please keep your own toys at home, and the simple reason is that we have loads and loads of lovely toys at school which for them to play with, but also if you imagine bringing your absolute dearest toy into school, everybody wanting to play with it and it being lost somewhere along the way in the daytime, obviously that would be devastating for your child. So you know, it's a case of leave it on the car seat for when they sit back down in it, or just to keep it at home. It's the rule for everyone really, so that nothing goes wrong. The last one, again, if you have worries or concerns, come and speak to me. We totally appreciate that we've given you lots and lots and lots of information now, and it might feel a bit overwhelming. And much as you might think, oh, that's a really little thing, but I really want to talk to the teacher about it, it's usually easy for us to give you a bit of time now so you don't stew on it or get worried about it. Just sort it, the sooner it gets sorted out, the better. So very, very much we would like you to tell us if you have any worries or concerns, because they can easily get sorted out. And the sooner I'm aware, the easier and more quickly it will be to sort out.
Exactly the same from me too. The pupil admin email address that I will give you in a moment is probably at this time your best course for contact. Ordinarily, the school office is open every single day. We're on the end of the phone absolutely every single day, but in these difficult times, we're not always able to operate in that way. But the pupil admin inbox is checked really regularly, and we will always come back to you as soon as we possibly can. So I think our next slide is about questions, and normally here we would open it up to the floor for you to be able to ask questions when you're all at school. As we're not able to do that at this time, we would ask that you contact us via pupiladmin@baston.links.sch.uk, and we will happily come back to you with any answers to your questions if we possibly can. Nothing too tricky.
No, not too tricky.
Nothing too tricky. I hope that this video has been of help for you. Do make contact with us if you want to about any single thing. We will keep as much correspondence coming out to you as we can. Any new information that we get, as soon as we get it, we will share it with you. We haven't forgotten about you. Really looking forward to seeing you soon. And don't forget, actually, that along with this little video, Mrs. Porteous has made another little video with our friend Marigold, who is our reception friend. And that's just a little message, really, from you and Marigold, isn't it?
It
Mrs.
is,
Porteous?
yes.
To say hello to our newcomers, and we thought it was just a little bit of fun that might help them to feel excited and have something to look forward to when they're coming into school. So we shall say goodbye now. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. We look forward to seeing you in September.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, definitely.
Watch this space. Until then, keep well, keep safe. And if you want us, please do make contact. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.